Hi, my name is Paul and welcome to Building Blocks English. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the past simple and the present perfect simple. These are two easily confused tenses because they both talk about the past. However, they have different functions. So, let's have a look. Firstly, we have the past simple. We use the past simple for completed past actions. And its form is the past verb or the ed verb. For example, I visited the museum last month. You listened to music yesterday. He cooked dinner last night. Notice that visited, listened, and cooked, all of them have an ed ending. However, there are of course several irregular verbs like go. She went on holiday last year. We use the present perfect simple to talk about incomplete past actions or past actions with a present effect. It is formed by using the auxiliary verb have plus the verb 3, also known as the past participle or PP. So, I have visited the museum. You have listened to music. He has cooked dinner. She has gone on holiday. Now, remember that the have can be contracted, so it would be I've visited the museum. You've listened to music. He's cooked dinner. She's gone on holiday. This contracted form is very common, especially in speaking. So this is the positive form, but what about the negative? If I want to use the past simple in a negative form, I would use the auxiliary verb did plus not plus the infinitive. So I did not visit the museum. You did not listen to music. He did not cook dinner. She did not go on holiday. And of course, this did not is often contracted. So we would have, I didn't visit the museum. You didn't listen to music. He didn't cook dinner. She didn't go on holiday. The negative form of the present perfect simple follows the structure have plus not plus the verb 3 or PP. I have not visited the museum. You have not listened to music. He has not cooked dinner. She has not gone on holiday. And again, the have not is contracted. So, I haven't visited the museum. You haven't listened to music. He hasn't cooked dinner. She hasn't gone on holiday. Finally, we have the question form. And we form this by inverting or switching the auxiliary did and the subject in the past simple. So, did I visit the museum last month? Did you listen to music yesterday? Did he cook dinner last night? Did she go on holiday last year? Similarly, we switch the subject with have to make the present perfect simple question form. Have I visited the museum? Have you listened to music? Has he cooked dinner? Has she gone on holiday? There is no contraction for the question form. So, now we have the form. What about the function? What is the difference between the past simple and the present perfect simple? Well, to start with the past simple, we talk about a specific time. For example, I lived overseas in 2016. In 2016 is a specific time. On a timeline, we can see that 2016, when I lived overseas, is in the past, and now, in the present, I do not live overseas. It's a specific time and it's a finished action. On the other hand, the present perfect simple talks about non-specific or unknown times. I have lived overseas. When? I don't know. On a timeline, I have lived overseas. I don't know when it is, but it's before now. It is sometime in the past. Non-specific. Secondly, we use the past simple to talk about finished actions. I lived overseas for 2 years. So at some point in the past, I moved overseas, and then I moved home. I came back. That is finished, but during that period, I lived overseas. And now, I do not live overseas. It is finished. The present perfect simple talks about unfinished actions. I have lived overseas for 5 years. So this means that I moved overseas, and now I am still overseas. It is not finished. I have lived overseas for 5 years. Thirdly, we use the past simple to talk about life experience for dead people. My great-grandmother lived overseas twice. So she lived overseas once, she lived overseas twice, and now she is dead. Her life is over. She can't have any more life experiences. That is also finished. The present perfect simple also talks about life experience, but for living people. So I have lived overseas 3 times. So I have lived overseas once, twice, 3 times. Now I am still alive, so there exists the possibility that in the future this will change. Maybe I will live overseas again. Next, the past simple talks about past actions without a present effect. So if I say I lost my passport, this means I lost the passport and then I found it again, so that now there is no effect. It does not bother me. However, the present perfect simple, the past action does have a present effect. So if I say I have lost my passport, then I have lost my passport in the past, and now that affects me because I can't travel overseas anymore. Finally, the past simple uses finished time expressions. So we could say, I visited the museum yesterday, finished. I visited the museum last month, also finished. I visited the museum last year, also finished. I visited the museum in 2018. I visited the museum 2 years ago. All of these time expressions are finished, so they belong with a past simple verb. On the other hand, the present perfect simple uses unfinished time expressions or adverbs. So I have visited the museum today. Today is not finished. I could go back. I have visited the museum this month. I have visited the museum this year. All of these expressions are unfinished. Similarly, we can use adverbs like I have already visited the museum, which means that this happened before the moment of speaking. Or I have just visited the museum, which means this happened recently. We can use the adverb yet in negative sentences. I haven't visited the museum yet, but hopefully in the future I will. Or in questions. Have you visited the museum yet? We can also use prepositions for and since with the present perfect. So I haven't visited it for 2 years, or I haven't visited it since 2 years ago, or since 2018. What's the difference between for and since? Well, for talks about a period of time. I haven't visited it for 2 years. Whereas since talks about a finished time. I haven't visited it since 2 years ago. or since 2018. Another example, I have lived overseas for 5 years, but I have lived overseas since 5 years ago, or since 2016. So, that's the past simple and the present perfect simple. These can be quite difficult tenses to understand, but remember, the past simple is finished. It does not affect the present, whereas the present perfect simple could be unfinished or have some effect on the present. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you'd like more information, check out the website in the video description below. And if you would like some more content, make sure you subscribe, tell all your friends, and see you next time. Bye.